Oh, I'll make it work. Yeah, it's not the best.
Oh, well, we got the triple. It's fine. It's whatever.
We got the trip and not the double.
Oh.
Welcome back. Episode 44 of ExAnime. Fine, fuck you.
Jesus.
You do the intro then. No, it's all you now. No.
Nope, I'm gonna let you drown. This week.
Did you unplug your mic?
No. God, these cables fucking suck.
Yeah, we'll get new ones.
Yeah. Well, sorry if you heard a little bit of the
No,
static
fuck
stuff.
you, audience listeners.
Oh no, we need you. We need you, please. Please stay.
Gotta fuck it good.
This week we're talking
Back
about
to the A list.
yes. Those shows include My Hero Academia, To Your Eternity, The
Beach
Duke. Well, I'm going off the list.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
The Duke and of Death and his Maid, which will just be Matt only talking about that. The Detective is already dead, and then Boy Riverside. My Hero, because there's only 2 episodes.
It was an emotional roller coaster these last 2 episodes. Like, it hit me in the feels when Evan Tower finally got his son. It was just immediate, like, hug. And then, of course, Bakugo got fucking grabbed in that hug, too.
Yeah.
It's like, don't fucking hug me. Leave me alone. But, God, you got to, like, the last 2 episodes, nothing big happened, really, minus, like, the students obviously
Well, there's
getting a
further,
villain.
like, character development.
Yeah, like, there's no action, but it's definitely heavy in the, this is why the family's fucked up. This is how them trying to heal. And at least in, like, episode 106, I think is what it is. It was really nice to see Evan Tower being like, listen, I'll try and make all of you happy. I know it'll take time for you to get accepted to me. And then they kind of left off on that.
Yeah, because the first episode was them going to the house and that stuff, and then episode after was them leaving. One of Todoroki's brother, his older brother, was kidnapped by a villain.
Endeavor.
Yeah.
And I keep saying Evan Dower for some reason. I don't know. Endeavor. It's like, I have a new mission. It just fucking brings me to his house. Like, what the fuck? Like, Bakugo, this whole past couple episodes have been fucking hilarious of just, like, getting mad at everything. Even when Deku's, like, analyzing the fucking food. It's like, Gordon Ramsay style, like, the glaze on this chicken makes it more crispy, makes it pop more. Bakugo's like, you fucking ruined the food by analyzing it, dude. It's trash now.
Well, he also did like it because right as they were leaving, he's like, I want the recipe.
Yeah. I was like, what?
Yeah, he's been pretty good. One of the things I did think was interesting about it that also made it really good is even that in the short amount of time that the 3 of them have been with Endeavor, they are responding very quickly.
It's been a week.
Yeah.
And they already are.
Mm-hmm. And even Endeavor acknowledged just how quickly they are to respond within, like, the fault that he had, because, of course, he fears that if his son, like, if he saved his son, like, the resentment that already exists, like, would only deepen and a lot of that stuff. So to see the other 3 really take advantage, and Deku, like, that whip is starting to work real good, like,
because he even said, like, I have a feeling and this is it. Saves everybody.
Yeah, so it's super cool to see that, like, kind of out of the blue moment where it's like, oh yeah, they are working really, really hard.
I want to point out, who the fuck makes their car? Because the briefcase is when it's like, yo, here you go. Fucking shoots all the briefcases up. And I'm like, his driver that's a fucking good driver, just saying.
Yeah, his driver is like toe-to-toe with
Bakugo
being like,
oh, you're going too slow. Well, you're fucking freeloader.
why are you being so rude?
No, I really like these 2 episodes. Super big backstory. Balances a lot of stuff out in there.
It does have a little bit of a somber ending to it, because at the very end, Endeavor is like, hey,
Toya. Huh. Oh, sorry. Say what you were going to say.
I want you, I'm to move, basically, like your mom's about to be released from the hospital, and he's basically buying another house elsewhere, and that's where they're all going to live, and he's just going to stay there. It works as a double purpose, of course. Like, he sees the risk that is actively involved, especially now that his family has directly been attacked. It's a little bit different with someone like Todoroki because working towards hero and like all of that.
Todoroki
like,
can defend himself.
Yeah, and the risks that are involved there, but like his brother and sister, like they're just regular people. Like she's a school teacher, and
Elementary school teacher, they pointed out.
and he's like in college just doing regular stuff or something.
Yeah, they never pointed out what his major was.
Yeah, but like the regular people being involved in the risk, like though it's clear that he has some sort of flame power. Like during the fight, he never used that to try to like defend himself. The moment he was captured, that was basically it. So
I wonder if he just has the power, but it's not defined. Like, because Todoroki doesn't use flames because fuck his dad.
Well, yeah.
But it was also one big important thing is I haven't read ahead in the manga, so I'm guessing, and if I'm right, fine, fuck it, I guess I'm right. Like Endeavor keeps like praying to Toya. Like his son, it's like in like Japanese culture, like some of them have the shrine, not shrine, but this thing in their house where you pray to the dead or pay respect to the dead. And the guy's got 2 blue eyes, and I'm like, they've hinted pretty heavily that Dabi has a relationship with Endeavor. So I wonder if Toya is Dabi. I'd imagine he is. I mean, blue flames, had, same color eyes, which that doesn't mean much in the anime world, but it's like pretty heavily hinted because it's the same hairstyle, just in black instead of white.
Yeah, I know the answer, so I won't say.
Also, Bakugo's fucking... I want to point out one thing. Bakugo had the coolest, like, speed boost. He's, like, defining. Just fucking, like... I just wrote... He's like a Sonic the Hedgehog mixed with, like, Spider-Man, just going wherever the hell he wants. Oh, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Next was To Your Eternity.
Yes.
I lined these up in the order of which we're going to watch him.
Okay.
Man, thank God no one important died.
Yeah.
Because this is episode 15, 16, and 17 for the audience listeners or anyone that hasn't watched yet. We're going to talk about those 3. I want to point out that, like, in episode 15, you find out Perona. She died because Fushi came. So apparently there was no longer, like, he has to be near them when he died. He just has had contact with them.
Yeah, that like emotional connection kind of thing.
Somewhat of a connection, and then they died. And then you find out later, the dude in black is like, yo, wish you would have died sooner, which is a huge dick move. Understandably, the guy in black is trying to save the world, but it's like, come on, dude. Like, as soon as he turned into her, it's like, oh, shit, did she kill herself? And then you learn later on, the fucking bitchy McGee.
Nope, fucking Hayase, like, was the one that did it.
Yeah.
And they fucking have the audacity to cut to it, and we watch her get decapitated, and it's bullshit.
They even point out that, surprisingly, cut off her head in one swing, so it made her suffer, too. And it's like, I just don't watch Fushi just fucking beat the shit out of her.
The moment they, like, cut to the scene as they're doing the revelation, I was like, no, don't do that. Like, that's so fucked up. It was
like, even the thing of, like, feet hanging there, blood dripping down, it's like, whoa, geez, they went all out on this.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to piss you off. And I was super fucking pissed during that.
Apparently, that is one of the few things they deviated from in the manga. It's just like them talking back and forth, and then Fushi gets mad and like attacks. In the fucking anime, they created the visual scene to like enhance that.
Yo, you want to piss off the fucking anime and manga readers?
I mean, of the things that they changed, adding like an enhancement to that, like it's a good change instead of just kind of like talking back and forth. To it. Yeah, adds more like visualization to.
Man, like, is it rough?
Yeah, that was one of those like, oh god, and Hayase fucking wins her fight and knocks him out because she's a horrible person. Yo, I'ma just skip forward a little bit. This lady tries to like rape him.
Fushi was sexually assaulted in this 3 episodes. He's a survivor.
It's
not making fun of survivors, but man, they like full on was like, they were pushing the border of what they could show on PG-13. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that was. I wasn't expecting any of that. Like,
No, I wasn't expecting it either. It just fucking came out of nowhere.
yeah.
Which they even show that Fushi is like pretty awake in that situation. He just can't move or open his eyes, which is weird because she's licking the fuck out of his face too. And I'm like, ooh, this is like some really weird vibes.
Yeah, she was like licking his face. I was like, oh, she's kind of crazy. And suddenly she's like dropping the robe. I was like, oh no.
In the words of Justice, don't stick your dick in crazy.
No, that's like principle
So,
number
like,
one when it
I'm
comes
trying to
to
figure out
dating.
what they're trying to do. Like, is she thinking of Fushi? We don't know if he could get her pregnant. I mean, he has all the other things of a human. But would it even be like, would it be a baby that would have been Fushi's actual?
Well,
Or is it like, would it make another monster? Wouldn't it make another monster that we know of?
I think her goal would be
Is
to try
To make
like,
another.
Yeah, and have an immortal baby.
Yeah.
And like raise it to be whatever she wanted.
Yeah.
Which clearly would be a bad idea. So like, don't do that.
Fushi had time to age as a rocket moss.
Yeah.
Which,
So,
I mean, these
ridiculous.
3 episodes, the coolest thing was seeing how Fushi can partially shapeshift some stuff, because before it was full or nothing. Now it's like kind of a partial transformation. And even in like episode 17, when he makes a dummy body of himself, which is a smart idea. He's learning. You can see he's learning more and more. Really quick. Yeah, the knockers show up, or the Nookers show up. Yeah, they defeat it.
Yeah.
It was kind of lame. It was like, yo, I can make these exploding arrows. He's like, I need to know how to make this. Stab myself. Okay, here's some exploding arrows.
Right.
I'm just like, really? Like,
the biggest thing with that is the fact that he got March back and the bear.
there. And he got
Gugu?
yeah, because Gugu was stolen.
Right at the beginning of the fight, though.
Yeah, right at the beginning of the fight, Gugu was stolen. As long as Gugu and March survive, I don't have a huge attachment to
The bear?
the bear.
Yeah.
The bear. Which really kind of makes me mad, considering like in episode 17 they have that big fight in the crazy girl. What's her name again? Hayase defeats him as the bear and defeats him as other stuff and uses like poison, and I'm like, okay, fucking cheap shot.
Yeah. The thing that I will, because we're kind of bouncing back and forth a little bit, after they beat the bear, there is a hilarious scene where they're all eating food, and he's made the food because he's duplicated it.
Yeah.
And some of it's the ramen.
Oh, that she had.
It's the ramen that like he initially had when
like
he was knocked out.
Yeah, it was like episode 4 or 5 that they drank.
Yeah, so he can only reproduce the stuff that has the fucking poison in it. So everyone just passes out. And he's like, oh, yeah.
I think after that, before that fight, I guess we'll stop bouncing back and forth. There's not too much more that happens after this. Tonari, I hated her up until you learn about her backstory, and then you kind of realize, like, I get why she's trying so hard, because her, long story short, her dad, I think, it looked like a bookshop or a scroll-like shop. Her mother died. They blamed her dad. Then her dad kind of went crazy trying to win a death battle royale tournament.
The tournament that Fushi's trying to win to become.
Same thing, and
like,
he goes crazy. She kind of disowns him. He becomes the leader, and then he gets poisoned like 2 seconds later.
Yeah, and then shoved in the river.
Yeah. So it's kind of an emotional thing of like, which is really weird how this law of the land works.
I did think it was super interesting during that flashback where, like, the dad wins. He's the only one left standing, and Tonari's 11 at the time. And even the way she describes it is at the very end, like, oh, the man that's standing there wasn't my dad. Like, I don't know where he is, because, like,
she has a mental break.
Yeah.
And she even searches through all the dead bodies to try and find her dad.
And I think that's an interesting way to, like, go about that, especially in the way of, like, a child.
It would make sense, go from 9 years old to like within 2 years, you've gone from super nice living situation to your dad's a murderous bastard.
Yeah.
Because he was trying to save you, and it just didn't work out that way. So it's kind of emotional. Also, how the fuck did the owl survive? That owl was clearly shot and dead.
There was no blood. There was no blood.
I mean, they only cut to it for a second.
Yo, they've chopped people's heads off, man. Like,
but that's Fushi.
There's been lots of blood.
That's Fushi.
Yeah, we'll tell that to her.
Oh. Low blow, man. Fucking low blow.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, tell that to March. Tell that to fucking Paranoid. Like,
why you gotta do that?
Clearly blood is, like, a thing they're okay with.
I agree. Gugu's death is still one of the saddest. March is sad, but I think
March is the saddest. But like,
sorry, Panora.
There was a whole like almost suicide thing, a part of it, and like, it was the build up. It was something you weren't expecting. It's a child.
We still don't know what's PRN. We still don't know why she poisoned those people. I imagine they'll get into it.
Yeah, maybe eventually. Could
have been for a good reason. I hope it's for a good reason.
I would assume, because she does seem like a fairly nice person. Like the whole like concept of like a screw being loose and someone doing something bad is very like correlated. Like there's not someone that just randomly
from
murders
the time
a bunch
they
of people.
met her.
Like, yeah,
she could have murdered Fushi and the others and just ran away, but she didn't. Mm-hmm. So it had to be for a good reason.
Yeah,
but that's about summed up. You learn a little bit more about the other kids. The good thing about the fight is Tonori, like, she was made the leader as kind of like a hostage situation for Fushi, but she did take all the kids under age 7, which is kind of weird to me that why not all the kids under age 10? But if we think, I don't know, if you think about an older society, whatever. Mm-hmm. But the cool thing is
that fucking old bald dude that's like, I think I'm 5 or 7.
And then the guard's like, then I'm 5.
Yeah. It was like,
it was nice to see that Tonori allowed like that little kid and his brother to go, the one that Fushi had fought but didn't kill.
Mm-hmm.
So Fushi still has a heart.
Yeah.
Even, before he got molested.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what's going to happen, though, because it's kind of that point of, like, they could end the season soon-ish.
We're 3 episodes left.
Are we only 3 episodes left?
Because it's only 20.
There's got to be a second season.
I mean, well, yeah, but, like,
who
knows when season 2 would, like, come out.
But it's been a wild ride so far with it.
Yeah, it's been very good.
We're doing good on time. Okay, next is my show. The Duke of Death and his Maid. Listen, they do the same thing again, where when they do the flashback scenes, they actually do it standard animation style. So obviously the 3D is a style choice, which works very well. Like even in episode, because I'm watching episode 4, 5, and 6 is what I'm talking about. It just works so well because even after episode, like when you first start watching episode again, you're like, oh, okay, it's CG. But after about 5 minutes, I'm like, I stopped noticing it was CG.
Mm-hmm.
Like the comedy in the show was still great between the Duke. They always call him Master, so they don't really say his name, Bochin. And then Alice, because Alice is just like a basic horn dog. She always teases him like sexually, which is why it's always fucking hilarious because you get to see him embarrassed and you just think it's the cutest thing because they're both like age 12, if I remember correctly. But there's this one girl, Viola, that's his sister, right? I talked about last time. She has a crush on Rob. They literally spend like a whole fucking episode of just Viola, which is like 8, crushing on Rob, the butler, which is like 74. At one point, she's like, oh, he said my name. He said hi. He's like, Viola, you gonna make some bread? He said bread. And like drops to the ground. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with her? Like she's just getting like horny over him just saying random words. She's in love with Rob, which sometimes you see that where they're confusing like actual love with, they just love that how nice he is. Because even Rob at one point is like, yo, I have like, if I had kids and I had a granddaughter, she would be your age. And she's like, oh, he said granddaughter. It's like, no, you're not going to get with this man. He is like 10 times older than you. Also, he's voiced by an old voice actor guy, which is because there's some people that are old but are voiced by younger people, which isn't the same. Because Rob has a very deep, nice, commanding voice.
Mm-hmm.
But they actually introduce in these last couple episodes 2 big characters. Cap, I don't remember how to say him, and Zane, both are witches. So our main boy, Master, was given the curse of death whatever living thing he touches by a witch. These two witches show up. He just seems to not give a fuck about it. He's like, whatever. Witches exist. Which in that world, I'd imagine. And Cap helps master one of the episodes. One of his maids, Alice, loses an earring, and you can tell that the master feels for her, and he wants to like get her something. He wants to find her earring because it's very special to her. And the dude just passes out in the snow. Like it's the middle of a snowstorm, passes out in the snow. I'm surprised Alice and Rob didn't know he went outside to look for it. And that's where Cap just shows up out of nowhere like, oh, he seems nice enough. Then has a chat with him because she turns from a bat to like, think of an ancient Magus bride. She's wearing a hood with like a skull for a head. And she's like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, I'm looking for my maid's earring. It's like, oh, what kind of master does this? She's very important to me. She's not just a maid. And then that's just where the story takes off from there. Basically, Zane at one point tries to flirt with Alice, and I was like, nah, fuck you. I don't care. Yeah. And then the master's like, oh, Alice doesn't love me. She's like, you want to look at my panties? He's like, oh, no. It's just, there's not much to say about the show. It's just a back and forth, like, slice of life comedy with an overarching story. Because they left off with them about to go to a witch party. It's like all the witches in the land meeting up for basically a convention. So they, Master and Alice have to disguise themselves as witches. So maybe he'll learn how to get this curse off of him. I don't know.
All right.
All in all, I think the show deserves more than a 7.5. I know why they give it a 7.5 because it's CG, but it is definitely a style choice for the character. It's not a budget choice. So I'd give it like an 8 right now. Next show.
The detective
is already dead. GG getting fucked.
Man, this show is...
Listen, it went from episode 1 of guns and planes with robots to, oh man, there's an idol singing to it. Then she pulls out a fucking gun.
Yeah, that whole reveal of like, oh, she's like being pushed. The eye is a one of those spez like abilities that actually allows her to see through that eye, even though it's fake. And even she can see through the eye patch kind of thing.
Yeah, because she can see through something, which is why she wears the eye patch on there.
Yeah, which I wonder if that means that she just sees everybody naked.
I think that's what it is. Yeah, I mean, she sees them in the underwear, unless it's like an activated ability. Mm-hmm. But they do point out,
that's just
like,
what my brain went to. It was like, oh, she sees people.
The biggest thing they pointed out in the show, which I guess if you watch this as a detective show would make sense, which is like, how did you know I have an eye under this? It's like, well, you can actually see distance between people, which, you know, people with only one eye can't do that. I'm like, oh, I never really thought about that until he said that. And it's like,
yeah,
it makes a lot of sense, but it's an anime, so how the fuck am I supposed to know?
Mm-hmm. And the runner, it turns out that had stormed the stage during the practice set was actually set by the fucking, what's his name, the sidekick, Kimiko, or whatever you pronounce it.
Yeah.
It was set by him, as he purposely had that dude run up on the side where the eye patch was, and she was able to perceive it earlier.
Yeah.
Than she should have for someone who can't see on that side. So
it was a pretty good reveal. They basically spent they spent one episode on it, which it was like an okay reveal. The show was weird. Like there's points where it's like, oh, this is cool, really well animated, to like, story's like, all right.
Mm-hmm. I think the weird thing with like that, the twist of like, oh, by the way, she was trying to blow you up because you're supposed to be there protecting the sapphire that's super like expensive, and it's like, you mean that family sapphire you were just willing to blow up?
Yeah.
Like,
well,
whatever.
They never really explain if like, oh, that sapphire thing's made up. It's like,
yeah,
you planted a pretty big bomb for like 2 people.
Mm-hmm. And then near the end, there's like someone walking up to the building to try to meet with him about something, and then we go into like flashback mode.
Yeah, it's a weird like jump that they're doing with it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, episode 2 is or episode 5, super weird.
Yeah,
because it's Sista
Siesta.
Siesta? Oh, siesta?
Yeah.
Oh, is that how?
Yeah.
I thought it was siesta.
No.
Oh, well. And then you meet Charlotte, and they're on a boat, obviously with Kimiko as well. And like, she keeps calling her mom. And I'm like, well, this is fucking weird.
Yeah, right.
Like, I'm like, people normally just don't call each other mother, even in like.
Also, isn't she supposed to be like 14?
Yeah.
She doesn't look it.
But it's not actually her mom, right?
Well, no.
No, yeah.
Well, no.
Yeah,
I'm just specifically saying.
It's
at one
weird
point,
they're
like on the beach and like going on like the paddle boat kind of thing, and it's like certain assets show that 14 is a lie.
Yeah, she's supposed to be 14 or 15. It's like, no, you should not be this developed for a 14 or 15-year-old. No fucking way. But it's the world of anime.
Actually, she could be older. She could be over 18 by now, because they did say that there was the 3-year.
Oh, that's right, because it's been 2 years since. Okay, so whatever, she's 18. But it's still weird that it's like, they don't really, that's the downside of this show, because if you're going to do all these jumps back, forth, you should at least give a kind of time frame.
Yeah, they only do that weird, like, oh, it's been 3 years, but it's like,
3 years.
Yeah, but like, how old were you guys?
You're doing the fucking Tokyo Revengers shit. Like, what's the fucking time? At least Tokyo Revengers, you know when you're going back.
Yeah, well, they know when you're going back, but they also still do like legitimately.
Yeah, they tell you the date.
Yeah,
yeah.
So
episode 2, episode 5. Sorry, because it's the second one of what we watched. I think episode 5 was just kind of a waste.
Mm-hmm.
There really wasn't much to it. The story for it was meh. That's the problem with the show. If you would have waited. You know, let's say you waited another couple months till like the winter season to push it out, or the fall, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to each their own. I don't know if this is actually off the source material, but it just seems like it's a good idea. It's kind of a good story, but you're missing some. It's like every 2 episodes. The third episode, like episode 2, and then now episode 5 are lacking something. So I imagine episode 8's gonna lack something too.
Yeah, it's interesting. I am glad that we're getting more of Siesta, like in the flashback stuff, but I don't know if like the stories that are currently being told are like super worth like.
No, it's not. It doesn't really pay off for anything. Yeah,
because they went to like like I said, it showed a person like trying. Don't mind the police siren if you could hear it.
Ambulance.
It's
not giving you anything.
Yeah, with the character that they just barely showed trying to meet, the sidekick, and that's in the future, after Siesta has died, and then you get the random flashback that's lasted 2 episodes. It looks like it's going to last for next week as well. So we're getting like 3+ episodes of a flashback to just randomly introduce or reintroduce this character that like you had no idea of before. And I feel like you could narratively tell stories way better instead of having this massive gap between, oh, look at this character, like they need help. Anyways, we'll get back to that. And like, at big monster thing and kind of a crazy ass girl named Hell with only one L, like is trying to destroy the world, and she like randomly stabs herself because she saw her reflection. And
I didn't get the whole stabbing themselves. I thought, was it a thing where the sword bounced and stabbed herself, or it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and there's just no like explanation for. It
just seems like they're doing all this random stuff in episode 6. To where in episode 7, they're like, well, actually, it works out if we do it. They're trying to do that Sherlock Holmes thing, where you don't understand what happens until he explains it at the end, but it still kind of made sense on the work up to it. This doesn't.
Yeah, because specifically,
where the fuck did this robot come from?
Yeah, specifically with Sherlock, the information is still provided to some degree, and is visual like background clues, or like the way the person is dressing, certain stuff like that. Every so often there has to be the like, oh, well, that's what happened because some things just are a little bit more outlandish, but they're still...
You can still, like, know what's going on. Like, if you were looking super, super close and you were pretty good at detective stuff, you would notice that this is like, oh, yeah, you notice none of this because it was never in the scene.
So, yeah, it's weird.
It started strong,
I'm still watching, but...
Yeah, it's dropped in score because it was almost an 8. And it makes sense that it's dropping. Its popularity is still up there because it's still animated rather well, but it's still...
Yeah.
I don't know, it just lacks that one or two things to make it perfect. It's that same thing that Pretty Boy Detective had. Started out strong, had a good story, but then it got down to that point of you kind of have a good plot, but you're missing some holes, and you just kind of piece it together like the guy that hit the girl. It's like, oh, well.
Yeah, I almost feel like the story would have been better if they would have phrased it like, the detective is already dead, yes, but like told the story as a whole of like all the way up until her death and then transitioning into the new stuff.
Yeah.
And like pushing past it'd make things like narratively seem a whole lot better instead of these like big episode long and multi-episode long flashbacks or even the like random kind of like flashbacks for certain stuff that like don't tentatively seem to make sense.
Also, that idol still had a gun in Japan.
I mean, so did he.
Yeah, but he's working with the police. That's different.
Yeah, but normal police don't have guns either. There's like...
Listen, man, there was a SWAT team and everyone else. Listen. They're special police. They're detectives.
Yeah,
now, back on...
That fucking cop smokes everywhere.
Yeah. She's fucking like... Then she's like, I quit. Here's my fucking...
Here's my lighter.
Then they go into a flashback where she's smoking and I'm like...
Well,
it's understandable, but it's like, God, just fuck.
Yeah, here's my lighter. An episode later, she's like, "Oh, why'd you come back?" And she's just standing there smoking. It's like, so you lasted like 48 hours max? Like, you're shit at this.
Another show, that also doesn't fucking follow timelines because it's all over the goddamn place. Peach Boy Riverside.
Yeah. That one seems to be like intentional though, because they're airing the episodes out of order. And
listen, hang on, I gotta pull up my notes.
Look, from my understanding, it should technically be like 5, 6, 1, 2.
I think that's what it is because I was looking through my notes to figure out what went where. It's so weird because it's like, oh, look, a bunny. It's like, oh, shit, okay, that was the start of episode 1. Hopefully when they do the Blu-ray, they do it in order.
I could see there being like the option to do either or, depending.
Yeah, chronological or... Listen, the biggest hype of these 3 episodes, we watched episode 4, 5, and 6 for you listening. Fucking Faru got her body chopped in half and then magically came back as a fucking demon bunny.
Yeah.
Listen, like she came back, they had like the music, they had the like scary eyes. Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck is going on in here?
Yeah, it looks like Frau is like an angel, basically. Like,
well, she got sent to heaven. She's the only one that didn't have a halo. And then her fucking buddy companion, where is she? Atra?
Yeah.
Atra's there like, hey, Frau, what are you doing? It died. It's like, you want to go back? Yeah. It's like, okay.
Can I get some power? Oh, you know that you shouldn't do that. I need power. Okay. Fucking.
Like, that means, like, you've just now established there's really no point for her dying. Like, she could die. There was, like, no consequence. Like, if she said, okay, this is the only time I could bring you back, that would be different.
Yeah.
But now they've established that if she dies, that's it.
I think it's an interesting revelation because, like, it brings a couple things into bound. A, Frau is definitely not, like, part of the hair people, like, that people think they are.
Yeah.
But, like, what is she? There were,
like, a chimera hybrid of, like, 2.
One of the theories that I heard is that she's, like, probably, like, an archangel.
Archangel.
Yeah, and just kind of doing whatever she wants because she's kind of bored.
Yeah.
And
also, it was really quick to point out. It was cool to see like Carrot have emotion of like, oh yeah, let's kill him. Then Frau dies. It's like, well, hang on, that was my friend.
Yeah, and the other thing it does establish is like spirit, heaven, hell. Like I would assume, like angels. Like it distinctively now establishes that those exist because the vampire, when he dies, like his spirit is still there.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh.
They gave him such a tragic backstory.
Yeah.
The vampire dude, do they have him listed on here? I don't think they do.
Probably not.
Basically, there was a vampire dude in episode 5. Shows up. That's where episode 4 ends. It's like, girl gets her blood drained from a body. Episode 5, you find the vampire dude. And this vampire dude was living among humans peacefully, just kind of doing his own day-to-day things. So in this world, vampires come out in the light.
Well, no, in his case, he's not, like, he's referred to as a vampire, but, he's an ogre. Or org.
Yeah, he's an org, but his power's in his teeth.
The horns can manifest anywhere. In his case, they manifest through his teeth.
My horn just...
Yeah, which is why he was able to, like, sink his teeth into Frau and be like, oh, you know that beam other people do? I can do it too.
Wow, so he learned hyper beam? No, but it was weird, because at first you really hate him. He just seems like a throwaway character, and it's like, yeah, I was living amongst people kind of peacefully, gave it the whole, org thing. Then I met this woman, fell in love with her, got married, and then I went to go kiss her and just sunk my teeth. And I'm like, so every other time you've kissed her, you didn't do it. And then this one time you're like, boom, dead. Which is kind of tragic, but at the same time, it's like, they did it too quick. You should have like made it a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But they're trying
What if that was the first time they kissed?
Oh, God, I guess maybe back in the 1400s.
Yeah, it'll be very, like, conservative. She's twerking on your dick.
Oh, God.
No kissing till after marriage. Yes,
also, I want to point out real quick, in the Duke and his Maid one, he makes a Matrix reference. I'm like, It was so out there. No, but basically then in was episode 5 they defeated him, or was that into episode 6?
It was the episode 5. Episode 6 is them going to a city. Of course, the timeline's changed again. Yeah. And there's discrimination with Frau.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Frau gets like pretty heavily discriminated.
Mm-hmm. And Carrot doesn't, but that's because Carrot looks human. Wasn't
that also in episode 5? Because that's what led up to Carrot getting pissed at people and wiping everyone off.
No.
Yeah, because she meets that guy. Because Carrot's getting pissed at humans because Frau was getting discriminated against. Then she goes to the vampire to go kill everybody. Or she wants the vampire to kill everybody. Listen, they get discriminated wherever they go. But
yeah, some shit.
Also, really quick, I guess we should talk about episode 4 real quick.
No, the timeline's confusing, goddammit.
Yeah, it's all over the fucking place. Episode 4, you learn about
Mikoto?
Well, Mikoto and then Sally. Sorry, I was going to read her whole name. I was like, fuck that shit. You learn that Sally's actually a princess, and it's like, cool, she's a princess that doesn't need saving, and we still don't know where the peach, like powers came from. But the story makes more sense. Like, Peach boy, Mikoto's a boy. And everyone points out, you're kind of a beautiful lady. And then Sally walks in like, oh, shit, you're pretty flat-chested. It's like, well, I am a boy. And it's like, oh, shit, I guess you're a boy now.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you purposely drew him looking like a fucking girl, and it's voiced by a woman.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's kind of common for a lot of Japanese stuff, too, so. But it was cool watching Mikoto because, like, those orgs show up.
Their fucking dog, it's like, even in its character bio, it's just named Dog.
Yeah, Dog. And it's voiced by a dude.
We also don't seem to know Mikoto's real name.
No, because there's more to it. They call him different things.
Well, no. Specifically, like, the name that he's chosen when the dog, because Mikoto was going to kill the nun.
Milia?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a nun that is an org.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty graphic scene of like, I'm going to rip my horn out so I'm a person. It's like, that sound alone was like, ugh.
Yeah. Well, so the night before, when she's sleeping, he takes off the headband and finds out, and he was going to kill her in her sleep, and that's when the dog, like, interferes. And you get that moment where he's, like, you know, talking about his name, because the dog's like, who are you? And then it's like, you see like the kind of like flashback-ish of like an older individual, and it's like, if that's the name you're going to use, like blah blah blah. So like it seems like that's not Mikoto's name.
Yeah.
It also
Mikoto's
seems like
the person that gave him the powers, maybe. Can we call the dog Fushi?
Yeah, no. It might seem like the dog is the actual like Mikoto Kibutsu, and like his spirit has transferred from like a human to a dog and is now accompanying. At least that's what I started to interpret it as.
Fushi.
No.
All it
He
takes
only
is one.
stays as dog.
All it takes is one lolly call him to die, and then bada bing, bada boo.
Suddenly he walks
Also, her
into a
character's-
Chinese restaurant. He never comes back.
Oh God. Bye bye Fushi. But no, it's so weird seeing like it's what I fucking hate about the timelines getting mixed up.
Mm.
There's some shows it works for, like Tokyo Revengers, because it's a set like 15 years back. They tell you the date. This is wherever the hell we want to be.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty weird because now you get to see like he's not up on here, but there's this new character to introduce, a new org that's trying to summon more orgs to try and kind of start a war or an army against Mikoto. And then it's like, yeah, Mikoto just fucking slaughtered everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how are we going to kill him? No one knows. And then this little lolicon girl, Jusiro, I don't know. Jusirno?
Sure, let's go with that. I'll let you struggle.
Lolicon, number 1. Back to the good old days. Like, she pops up and supposedly she's super strong, or that's what
She
we're
is
led
also
to
referred to as the Master of Masks.
Yeah. So, I don't know what's going to happen in Peach Boy. Hopefully the timelines are technically fixed this next episode because they've kind of done that full loop, but it's hard
Probably
to watch. It's hard to watch something that's doing that kind of stuff, which is probably why it only has 6.73.
Mm-hmm.
The combat when they fight is great, but they do that thing that, again, Konosuba, you kind of have a cool fight scene, but Konosuba still stays funny. This goes from serious to funny to serious to funny, and it doesn't work in this situation.
I think for me, like, it's pretty good, but like it would definitely be way better if it was like actual linear story. I like some of the violence. I like some of the jokes, and I'm intrigued with the story that is being told. So it has all of the correct elements. For me, it's just the story is confusing unnecessarily. So I think it will be super interesting. I would probably still buy the Blu-ray for that if it came out, as long as I knew that I could set it to chronological, like playthrough.
Yeah. I was just looking again to see if any of the shows we're watching are in the top spots. Obviously, Kobayashi and Slime are. And I think the next show we watch is pretty far down there. We wanted to watch Jasama Will Not Be Defeated or Outdone.
Mm-hmm.
But that started way too late. Yeah, some of the shows, like, they started real strong, and now they're not going terribly good, is, I think, the word I'd use.
Yeah, there's a couple shows that have done some weird things, and even because we're getting ready to end, like the next time we talk about like our B list, which next week will be like a special or just a general kind of conversation about anime, and then the week after that will be the B list. One of that's made like a very weird decision so far, and I hope they kind of don't stick with it super long, would be like Battle Game in 5 Seconds, but I don't know if you're caught up on that.
No, I'm not.
And we'll talk about it like next time. So
we have a few minutes for the news.
okay.
because we'll make it an hour. I'll edit it anyways. Some big things in the news is the first thing I want to talk about because we're talking about this season is Tokyo Revengers, the live action. Didn't really know it was out already. It's already done over, in 1 month, it's earned 3.2 billion yen. So $32 million, which seems like a lot for the live action because I don't think the live action was that expensive. And that's a decent amount for the live action. I haven't heard terrible things. I've heard actually quite good things because they just did the thing where it's live action. We're sticking to the story. Few modifications for movie reasons. But all in all, the actors are good and I might go and watch it. Other big news, Berserk chapter, I think it's like 385. Berserk's getting a new chapter. It's releasing September 10th or October 10th. It was one of the two. So Berserk fans are getting another chapter. And then Bleach had its one-off.
Yeah, it's
you
a
read.
one-shot.
A one-shot.
73 pages. And, oh my God, Taita Kubo is just so good at...
They were allowed to do whatever they wanted for this, right?
Yeah, it was just like a thing, years later, based off of the ending of the original manga. And it's like, just those moments where you just remember just how cool fucking and unique the stuff that he did was, whether it came to be with like the Soul Reapers and their like Zanpakuto abilities and just all of it. Like there's just those moments where it's like, there's a fucking badass. God damn it. So
I think right now we're in a little bit of a rut of there's not a lot of shows that you're quite as attached to as you are for like Bleach. Or
Bleach was like secretly like super innovative when it came to like special ability type like manga and anime. When you think of like Jujutsu Kaisen and
Jujutsu Kaisen's getting up
like,
there, Demon Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
Those are two that are like
even
they're getting pretty
My
creative.
Hero. Yeah. Like I still feel like at some point, and especially in like the effectiveness and super cool factor, Jujutsu Kaisen is getting up there, but there's just some stuff in Bleach that like you can't hold a candle to, and it's so cool.
Do you think it'll take a while? I think Jujutsu Kaisen will eventually get there.
Mm-hmm.
Demon Slayer, it's very cool. It's still centered around somewhat realistic, but Bleach could have done whatever they wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, even when you think of something like Naruto, they only got super, super crazy in some of the stuff and abilities with like the jutsus way later on near the end compared to like Bleach that for the most part hit the wall running with like, yo, y'all, you guys want to see some cool shit?
Well, like even because I never was the manga reader for it, anime. I think it's even within the second season when he goes to the Soul Society to fight. And it's like Bankai, Thousand Sword. It's like, oh shit, this is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like just those fights, like each one of those was like, this is new, it's cool, this is new, this is cool. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Yeah, Byakuya's fucking, what is it? Zenbone Zabura Kageyoshi, which is the 1,000 cherry blossom something. It's a Bankai.
Yeah.
It's so cool. It's so fucking cool.
Like,
and then there's also
animated
like,
is
the top end version of that where, yeah, it's so cool. I love Bleach.
Other quick news real quick. The biggest news I would say is finally Crunchyroll and Funimation are all under the Sony flag.
Yeah.
It's a done deal. It's like $1 billion deal or something like that.
1.12 bill.
Yeah. Which it's kind of sad to see because I really don't want Crunchyroll to change. I think Crunchyroll has it down. I think even today when I was watching some of the stuff on Funimation, it's like, okay, I want to pause the video. It's like, oh, it's paused. No, it's not. The video's still going. So you click the play button. It's like, okay, now it's paused. It's like,
yeah, I get that issue.
The mobile app
too.
of it, great. Whoever's in charge of the desktop app, fucking dog shit for Funimation.
Well, the mobile app only recently got better.
Yeah.
Because for whatever reason, those like pause and like going to the next episode or skipping forward were so close together and so small.
Especially when phones were smaller.
Yeah,
screens.
even like on iPad, like it would take up max like
a half dollar.
Yeah, and all three would be like right there, And it's like, why? Why is it so like fucking small? Like the iPad is this big.
I hope what they should do is keep Funimation's shipping kind of in order fulfillment and Blu-ray type collections, but keep Crunchyroll's storefront in their player. Like Funimation knows how to get products, get exclusives, but they don't. I don't know. It's just that media player is a big problem with me. It's like I don't want to have to like click 4 or 5 times to get it do what I want.
Yeah, I did think it was even interesting that like the acquisition completed like a couple days ago, but a week before that, Crunchyroll was like, we've reached like 5 million subscribers for our premium. It's like, oh, that's impressive.
What is it, like $8 a month standard?
Yeah, something like
that.
So
I have another account. I gift myself a yearly membership, so it's cheaper. But at $7 a month and at 5 mil, so that's 35 mil a month.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Especially for just anime.
Yeah. And I do wonder because you have to sift through a lot of like the jargon when they made their announcements because both Crunchyroll and Funimation like made the official announcement on their own platforms. There is, and it's somewhere on the Funimation side, where that they said one of their core goals that would take time to do is that they want to create a unified platform. So the service is going to merge. And I'd be curious to see how that service is going to merge because part of the acquisition for Crunchyroll was Verve. Because Crunchyroll...
because that's 3 different payment platforms.
And Verve originally was like the hub where it's like if you just paid this, you got access to all the stuff on Verve, which at one point also did have Funimation. So you could have a one subscription thing because that's back when Crunchyroll and Funimation had the contract.
I wonder how they're going to do the payments.
Yeah,
unless they do a Disney thing because like Disney has, like how they have the Disney, Hulu, and what is it? ESPN
Plus.
Yeah, because all of them are owned by
Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because they might do that where it's like they'll keep them all separate. And let's say total, it's like $30 between all the subscriptions. Example. But if you get like the Sony Pass, it's $20 for all the subscriptions, which I'd consider doing.
Mm-hmm. I could see them entirely overhauling Verve, at least the usage on the background side, and creating a hybrid system that has Funimation, which I would hope would focus directly on dubs, Crunchyroll, which focuses primarily on all the sub content. Those would share basically everything.
Yeah, because Funimation does a fantastic job dubbing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you got like Tom Haberkorn and Vic Miyaga. I mean,
I don't know. So the only thing I complain about is like the subtitles on Funimation are like
shit.
Yeah, like even just the text design always seems off. But like Sony also owns Aniplex.
Make stuff cheaper.
And there's a Aniplex Plus subscription where you can just subscribe and watch Aniplex shows. So imagine if there's just this scenario where all of the Aniplex titles are on Aniplex's own like thing, and then Crunchy has the sub, Funimation is the dub, but you just pay for a single subscription and grab what you want from all of there.
That what I would like, because Aniplex has. I love Aniplex, but I also hate them because they always get that really good stuff, and then you got to pay all this money for it. Because even like we were talking about Blu-rays at Anime Iowa, it's like, cool, you want like season 1 of 2 SEO, where's $400?
Yeah, I bought all of the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood on Blu-ray, and it cost me $220.
Yeah.
So.
Granted, they're really cool box sets, but $220 is still
a lot.
Yeah.
So.
But on to other big news. At the end of the Olympics, the Olympics were super cool in Tokyo, especially for anime fans like us, because you got to see sports. Weeds out. You got to see artwork in the background of anime people, you got to see people broadcasting in Japan wearing cosplay, which was actually some really well done cosplay.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the people actually sounded like some of the characters, like the voice actors. And then a lot of the actors even picked some more anime themed music. It was cool to see athletes from other countries. This is an Olympic gold medalist and they love anime. It's like anime's finally become that thing of like, there's a lot of people I would have known at work that like probably would have never watched anime or they would have thought it's weird. Now there's so many people at work that want to talk anime. Because I think it's become easy to get in the US minus the whole subscription war thing. But it's cool. Like Demon Slayer, I mean, that was just cool to see them do the whole Demon Slayer.
Yeah, because they did the opening
Yep.
grunge from Lisa.
Yep.
And yeah, it was super cool. Izaki-chan is getting a season 2. Nobody gives a fuck. Man, that show's so...
Yeah, it's...
Takagi-san is way better, and I can't wait for...
This is for you.
Yeah, it reveals that they're having a new... I don't know how to feel
Justus,
about it, man.
So anyone that can't see, because it'll probably be hard to see, Justus is a Eureka 7 fan, which I have yet to finish.
Mm-hmm.
It's on my list. I've been doing better about finishing up my old shows.
Yeah, sure.
I've been finishing like old like 90s era. Listen, Gundam takes up a lot of time.
Dude, fucking stop watching Gundam then.
It was on my list before anything else.
Yeah, and it'll be on your list for fucking ever because they won't stop making.
Gundam for life.
I really enjoy Eureka 7. It's a good show. The character designer for
Well, finish your Eureka 7 thing and then we'll...
it's a very good show. The problem is, like, for the anime, the ending wasn't actually what the director quite wanted. There were a
was it rushed?
redesign. No, they were told that he needed to change it to the ending that we got now, which is still a good ending. But as they've like gone back through and redone some stuff, the movies are basically doing like a series into a point to get to the ending that he wanted. And apparently it's much darker. And I don't know how to feel about that.
Is it the ending that's... Does Eureka 7 have source material?
Or
was it
an
originally?
original, I believe.
Oh, okay. So it can be whatever he wants.
Mm-hmm. It's a similar thing to like Code Geass.
As long as it's what the director wanted or what he originally had in mind, I'm okay with that. But if they do the Attack on Titan thing of I'm going to change because people hate it, it's like no, fuck you.
I would agree, except he is still the same director that did AO, and everyone hates AO. Yeah. Astral Ocean is like dog shit.
You can't win them all, Chief.
Look, I got like 27,000 views on a personal YouTube channel just talking about that fucking show. And even I know that it's bad. And all of those videos are privated. Nah, I'm good. Thanks for the views.
Minako Shiba, I think I'm saying that right, passed away. They were a character designer for Black Butler. They did a lot of the character designs for that. And a animation director for Dr. Stone. That's their two biggest things. They've done a whole bunch of background stuff like script writing.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to My Anime List, you can see the full list of everything, but they passed away, unfortunately. I think that was the 5th when I posted. That was the day of.
Mm.
So, sorry.
7th. So
7th.
Yeah.
So it's there's a lot of people in the anime community. To be fair, we're at that point in the anime community where a lot of people are older.
Yeah.
Because when you think of like 80s era anime, people are kind of in the like 40s, maybe like 30, 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're at that point of like, well, in the 80s, that was 40 years ago. So now you get some of those people that are way older, people that started in their teens are now 60. So
mm-hmm.
some of those like real big names are kind of starting to go, but
yeah.
So rip to that person.
Fucking one of these days we're going to see Miyazaki in that list.
That'll be a huge, not saying everyone else isn't as big, but when you look at someone as popular as, I've never watched anime, but I have seen Spirited Away. Like that's the big thing of like, Miyazaki's so good at making movies that are like a mixture of cartoon and anime where it's anime style, but it's still westernized enough to, non-anime viewers watch it.
Mm-hmm. I hope the last thing that he does right before he dies is just say, fuck all of you. He's such a stubborn old bastard.
Yeah.
Oh. Well,
that's
we
about
should
it.
Probably end it here.
Yeah. Make sure if you haven't watched last week's episode, Justus and I talked about going to Anime Iowa. Make sure if you're still listening, subscribe. We need more subscribers. We're hopefully when we move into the new place, we keep saying this every time, but we will put out more content, more news-related stuff, more anime focused, even like gameplay or the manga reviews are still on the table because we don't want to record it till we're in the new place. Because it'll be very stale if we do it here.
Yeah. It should definitely be fun. I'm looking forward to it. There's stuff in the background that we have to like iron out and work towards. Like, are we going to have an office? That kind of stuff. But
yeah,
who knows? Everything should be kind of ironed out within the next like month and a half, though. So, hope you guys enjoyed. See you.
Bye.